Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing as it helps out the channel, and give this video a like if you do like it. Joining me for this, you'd think it's an Easter themed one, but it's really not. So it's my fellow Easter craving bunny, Manny Cruz. Say hi.
Hello, Dr. Gillespie.
Practicing your voices, huh? Alrighty.
I am.
So this is for Hot Cross Bunny. It's the 532nd in the series, released on the 21st of August 1948, with a blue ribbon reissue. All I could get was in November sometime in 1959. And if you want to see this cartoon, it's actually been restored fairly recently. It's on the Bugs Bunny 80th Blu-ray set, and it's also on HBO Max. Unfortunately, showing the full cartoon means I get into big trouble and the video gets blocked and so on, so I'll just give you a brief synopsis of what actually happens, just in case you haven't seen it. So essentially, a doctor is wanting to show a whole group of doctors his experiment involving transferring the mind of a chicken with the mind of a bunny. Fascinating, right? Of course, the bunny is Bugs Bunny, who ends up messing with the doctor once he realizes what's going on.
Manganese, phosphorus, nitrate, lactic acid, and dextrose. That is the formula for a chocolate malted. Yum, yum. I'm a better scientist than I taught.
First things first, before we get into the trivia, what is the scientific merit of this experiment anyway? Like, what? I'm confused. What do you think it is, Manny?
Maybe there was something that was going on after World War II with experimentation with dogs and chickens, and you and I clearly weren't around then. You know, we came by a few decades later, so I have no... I don't know where they came up with this idea. I mean, actually, I just remembered something. And I do want to shout out Thad Komorowski for his Cartoon Logic podcast. And he did mention that I think Warren Foster wrote this cartoon, and he also did Birth of a Notion that McKimson eventually took over from Clampett, which also had another experimentation brain swap thingy. But I think it's just funnier to say that people were weird in the 40s and they needed something to do after the war. So
I think
anyway.
so. I think so. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. Good night, everyone. No, of course, we've got a review to do of this cartoon. So, just a few bits of trivia here. So the original title for this cartoon was The Rabid Rabbit. Now, try saying that fast 10 times. So, and that comes from an animated breakdown, and I will have a link below to an article by Devin Baxter, who actually also points out who animated what in each particular scene, so definitely shout out to Devin there. Now, in the beginning, and I didn't know this because I am an Aussie, I know, shocking, right? The part of the beginning, the Paul Revere Foundation, see, I didn't know who Paul Revere was, but I've since learned that he was a patriot in the American Revolution. But the next line, it says, you know, hardly a man is now alive, and as it turns out, that references a line from Paul Revere's Ride, which is a poem by Henry Wadsworth. Gotta love that line. It's kind of like in the Chuck Jones thing, he's like, Hansel, and here it's like, Wadsworth. But there's an expression which maybe we can try and bring this back into our current lexicon.
The life of Riley.
The life of Riley is just an old expression for a carefree and comfortable life. So me and you, Manny, we're going to bring it back, aren't we?
I mean, we could bring back the phrase. It would be nice if we actually got to live the life of Riley. Yay,
right.
Bills.
Now, the weird thing about when Bugs was in the wheelchair and then he references calling Dr. Gillespie, I mean, that's a movie title from a 1942 movie starring Lionel Barrymore, but the wheelchair character is Bugs imitating Lionel Barrymore in it from another movie called A Free Soul. I don't know, that's just such a bizarre movie reference thing, blending two different things that Lionel Barrymore did, but anyway, it is what it is.
Calling Dr. Gillespie. Ta-da!
And finally, the Danny Kaye sequence.
Get up. Repeat the beep boop the bay, sounds so swiddling the suits again. Repeat the boop the bob the bow, the suits so settling the bow the bow. Heaps up settling the hold today, heaps up settling the suit to say. Oh, so settling the boot the bow, oh, so settling the shout so. Hold day,
Bugs. I mean, perhaps, Manny, you can... Is this what Danny Kaye actually did? Where he just does this wild scatting in his performances at the time? Because I've never actually seen it.
I've seen bits and pieces of Danny Kaye, not a lot. I do know that there's, I think there's a duet of When the Saints Go Marching In that he does with Louis Armstrong that is absolutely incredible. If you get the chance, not only you, but the people listening, please check it out on YouTube. But, he was famous for scat singing. I mean, I don't think he had control of his limbs like Bugs does, but anytime the Warner Brothers studio made fun of Danny Kaye, of course I'm thinking of the scene where Daffy Kaye is doing it in book review, and this one here in in this cartoon is still really, really good. I enjoy it. I believe it's Manny Gould that did the animation for that scene, and you could just tell he was just going all out and having a blast. And again, the music that Bugs is scatting to is very similar to the one he did for book review as Daffy. And again, just Carl Stalling and Mel Blanc just firing on all cylinders. And again, just I know reading about McKimson and his animators at the time, and how people were like, oh, McKimson was so much better in the 40s than he was in the 50s and 60s, and it's kind of a shame that he did lose a lot of his top-notch animators from the studio closing in 1953, because you see stuff like this, scenes like this, where guys like Manny Gould and Rob Scribner and all the other animators that he had, and just how insane that they kept that spirit, wacky animation that was there during the Clampett years and the Avery years. And it's a shame that it went away, as time went on. And this scene is just like one of the standout ones. I think this particular scene of Bugs doing the scat is one, let's say, a casual Looney Tune fan could recognize. Because I know I've seen it before in like bits and pieces, and like a non-Looney Tune fan would recognize this specific scene.
Yeah. I've seen it many a time too, because I actually had not seen Hot Cross Bunny before. Watching it for this review, weirdly enough, I know it's crazy, right? I didn't see all 1,000 when I was a kid. Oh, jeez. But still,
you had a life back then? What?
Well, I never had a life, and I still don't. But
same here. That's why we get along so well.
That's right. This cartoon is one of those ones where it may not be the best, but it's solid enough where, what, if I had to kill a few minutes, I'm happy to watch this. This one's quite funny. It's got a lot of great things, and I'll point out a few of them. First of all, you gotta love the expression of the chicken in the beginning. I mean, that chicken has seen things, or that chicken has been through things. You just know it, and he just doesn't give a crap by this point. Or she, rather. Sorry. I've realized that it's a lady. It's also interesting once we see Bugs in bed, he's living life, the life of Riley. But he points out all these girls on a wall, and he even does the whole woman shape in bed. And it's quite clear that this doctor has, let's just say, catered to his needs before. He just implied that that's been done before, and hey, Bugs loves the ladies. Why not?
He knows what he wants.
That's right.
I commend him.
And of course, I love stupid jokes, and of course, the coded tongue. Well, that's stupid enough. That gets my big thumbs up there. So I'm loving that. You love the part where he's just randomly selling hot dogs. Just out of the blue.
Everybody eat some red hot. There you go, mister. Lots of mustard. Hot dogs.
I also want to point out, and I'm somewhat of a bit of a science sort of
nerd. It's my Simpsons reference.
Of course, you got to do one
at
per
least
review.
one per review.
Excellent.
It's in the contract.
Excellent. But the campfire scene, I think, is even funnier if you know just how flammable oxygen actually is. So you wouldn't have an open flame like that near those canisters. I mean, what if there's a leak or something? You wouldn't have a good time.
That'd be kind of bad.
It would. The only thing I didn't like about this short, I felt the middle part does go on a tad too long. I know the point is that Bugs thinks he's in a performance and he's showing off for everyone there, but it's like, yeah, we get it. Can you move on? That was my feeling towards it. But what are your favorite bits of this one? I know you mentioned the hot dog part, but anything else you liked about this one?
Well, of course, I love getting a hot dog at a baseball game at a Yankee Stadium or something like that. But that part made me chuckle. Like I already said, I love the scat scene. I laugh. I agree that the show part does meander a bit, but I do laugh at the fact that, man, does that audience of doctors, they don't give him anything. And I know that experience. like when you're performing and you have a crowd and they're so into it and you feed off their energy, and then you have crowds that it's just like dead on arrival, and you could sing or play or act the most incredible thing in the world and they don't care. And I'm just like, I felt for Bugs in that scene. I'm like, "Ugh, I feel for you, buddy." There's a little bits and pieces that I told you prior to the recording that I like in the scene with the tent, and I didn't even notice that there was a musical cue associated with what was going on. It's tenting on the old campground, so that was a pun I didn't catch at first, but I just love Bugs' delivery of,
That was me good deed for the day.
"I did me good deed for the day." And I've said that before and not realizing that I've taken it from this cartoon. And one other thing I love in particular was the take that Bugs does when he runs into the closet with the skeleton.
Come here, come back here.
I'm laughing now. I've definitely made those noises before, and I'm like, I must have picked them up from this cartoon. And Mel Blanc doing the accent with the doctor, and just,
And now, fellow scientists, for our great experiment. I'm going to put this chicken's characteristics into an experimental rabbit, thereby making the rabbit think that he is a chicken. One moment, gentlemen, and
I believe he's French-ish. I don't know, but I love the voice acting that Mel Blanc did, and it's definitely got through some of the weaker parts of the cartoon with just the dialogue itself.
For sure. And what was interesting during that sequence, though, is that Bugs Bunny dance scene, which, we've seen it before, and you pointed out this is the third time we've seen this dance and musical number. But the animation ID, which, again, it's from Devin Baxter's wonderful article and breakdown video, it's done by Fred Abrands. If I said it correctly, I probably haven't, but Fred Abrands. There. Okay. I think it's interesting seeing another animator take it on, but you said to me that you listened to Thad's podcast and he points out that it's like he traced the moves.
Yeah, when we did the commentary for Bugs Bunny Rides Again, and, we brought up, the scene from Jerry Chinicki, and then I think we mentioned in the commentary, or maybe I remembered after the fact, I was like, I've seen this animation before, and that musical cue that Stalling does, and Thad in his in the podcast for, again, please go check it out, Cartoon Logic, subscribe to his Patreon. Look at that. Shameless plug. I'm not getting a check, I promise. But he does mention that it was originally used in Stage Door cartoon, a Freeling cartoon. So you had that in 1944. Chinicki originally did the animation, then was brought back in 1948 for Bugs Bunny Rides Again. And Fred, what's his last name again?
Abrands.
That. Fred name. I don't know, I can't say it. But Fred must have traced over the animation from that specific scene. And just, he tweaked Jerry Chinicki's design of Bugs to fit them. Depending on who you ask, either really well-liked or not so well-liked Fat Bugs McKimson design of the late 40s, which most of the time I like. I don't have a problem with the fat Bugs that you see in this cartoon, but some other people are like, it kind of rubs them the wrong way. But at least it's different. That's what I like about it, how McKimson designed Bugs for these shorts in the 40s.
Yeah, I definitely like it. So, just to slowly wrap this review up, now, in terms of rating, I give this one 7.5 out of 10. There's definitely a lot to like about it, and I only had to knock off a few points because, as I said, I thought the middle part meanders, but even then, the animation in that scene is fantastic, and there is a lot to like about it. So yeah, I think 7.5 out of 10 for me. How would you rate this one?
I was going back and forth between 7.5. But because I'm thinking about it more, talking about the standout animation and the voice acting, and not all of it lands joke-wise, but the ones that do land well, 7.5 as well. I'll go with that.
Yeah, so we were definitely in agreement. Woohoo! Finally. There's my Simpsons reference, of course. So, yeah, I'll wrap this one up. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Feedback is always welcome. And until next time, take care.
That's all, folks.
In our next experiment, we will reverse the procedure. I hope. Looks like Doc is a victim of foul play.